This is Braggins Adventures. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Andrew with Braggins Adventures, and today I want to give you a comprehensive Carnival Cruise dining guide. That's right, I want to talk about everything you can expect on your next Carnival Cruise when it comes to food. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of the videos or read some of the reviews or been in some of those nasty Facebook groups where people say that Carnival Cruise Line food sucks. And you know what? Today, I'm going to set out on a mission to prove those reviews wrong, because here at Braggins Adventures, we actually enjoy all the dining offerings that Carnival Cruise Lines has. Now, there are a couple of restaurants I'm not going to talk about today. I'll throw them up on screen right now. They are Chibang, Emerald's Bistro, Il Viaggio, Lucky Bowl, Masala Tiger, Rudy Sea Grill, and Street Eats. And the simple reason I'm not talking about those is, well, I haven't dined at those yet. They're only on a few of the ships, and I haven't been on those ships yet. If you've dined at any of the restaurants listed on the screen, let me know in the comments below, and maybe you can help me decide if I want to cruise on one of the ships those restaurants are on. What I am going to talk about is absolutely every other dining option available fleet-wide with Carnival Cruise. That's right, the restaurants I talk about today, many of them are available on most of the ships. So you're definitely going to find at least a few options that are going to be on your ship, if not everything that I mentioned. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that I am going to mention a few other videos in today's video, because we've done some pretty in-depth reviews of items that are on the menus at some of these establishments, and I invite you to go watch those videos afterwards. I'll put a little blip up on the screen anytime there's a bonus video for you to watch, and then you can go ahead and add that to your watch later playlist. I'm also going to link to that playlist at the end of this video, so at the end of this one you can easily just click and it'll take you to all the videos I mentioned within this video. Hey, if you haven't done so already, why don't you take a hot moment, click that like button, click that subscribe button, chat with us in the comments below, share these videos with your friends across all social media. It really does help the channel when we get those likes and those subscribes. And I haven't announced this year's contest yet, but you should know at the end of each year we do give out an Amazon gift card to our subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second and do that now. And also, if you didn't know, we're across social media. You can find us over on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and we love chatting with you over there. So I do invite you to go join us on social media. We're always happy to have a chat with our friends. All right, let's get started. The first restaurant that I'm going to talk about is Blue Iguana Cantina. Now, this is a complimentary restaurant. It's open for breakfast and lunch. The menu does change between breakfast and lunch, obviously. You're not going to have a carne asada taco at breakfast time or huevos rancheros at lunchtime. We do have that one of those bonus videos for Blue Iguana where we tried everything on their menu for both breakfast and lunch. So if you're looking for an in-depth review of that, you should definitely go check it out. But here in this video, I do want to let you know this complimentary dining spot is one of my favorite spots to grab a quick port day breakfast. If you've got an excursion you have to get to, or you're just excited to get off the ship and get out and do whatever it is you're going to do in port that day, this is an excellent spot to go grab a really quick breakfast up on the Lido deck. Now, here's a little pro tip for you. Blue Iguana Cantina has two different lines. A lot of people don't realize that. They see that long line on the breakfast burrito side and they get in it automatically. But if all you're craving is some huevos rancheros or some arepas, then go over to the other side where there usually isn't a line, and you'll get your huevos rancheros right away. As you're facing Blue Iguana Cantina, the right side is going to be breakfast burritos, the left side is going to be those tacos and or huevos rancheros in the morning, tacos in the afternoon. Burritos always on the right side. Also, they have this super cool salsa and toppings bar with a wide variety of salsas with every heat level that you can possibly think of, so you're sure to find something that you're going to enjoy. And then lettuce, onion, tomato, and a whole slew of bottled hot sauces that you can check out as well. Like I said, Blue Iguana is one of my favorite spots, and the fact that it is a complimentary location on board almost every single Carnival cruise ship, this is a must-do stop for you on your next Carnival cruise. All right, up next next, we're gonna hit our very first upcharge restaurant. This is Bonsai Sushi. It's an a la carte upcharge. What that means is you don't pay a flat rate and then get the full meal. You can pick and choose off of a menu and just pay for what you eat. The items range from $1.50 to $10 each. They're open for lunch on C days and then dinner every day. And they stay open fairly late. So if you're craving like that 11 p.m. to midnight sushi, you'll be able to find it at Bonsai Sushi. This is one of my favorite upcharge restaurants across Carnival Cruise Lines. Now, you might find that yours isn't a full-size Bonsai Sushi, but it is a Bonsai Sushi Express. The menus are virtually identical. There are a couple things you can't get at the Express, and if your ship has a Bonsai Sushi Express, you're gonna be eating your food on the Lido deck instead of in the Bonsai Sushi dining room. Reservations are not required here. They have an amazing variety of fresh seafood, including ramens and a really cool boat for two. It's $22 at time of filming, and it's enough food to feed 3 to 4 people, honestly. They call it a boat for two, but there's more than enough food there, especially if you add on maybe some extra salad or miso soup. They also have some specialty cocktails you can't get anywhere else on the ship. I absolutely love Bonsai Sushi. If you're a sushi fan, I highly recommend that you make Bonsai Sushi one of your stops on your next Carnival cruise. What's your favorite kind of sushi roll? If you've got one that I haven't tried yet, I'll definitely go check it out on my next Carnival cruise. Let me know in the comments below what you enjoy when you hit up Bonsai Sushi. As we finish up at Bonsai Sushi, next we're gonna head right next door to Bonsai Teppenyaki. Now, this is also an upcharge, but it is one of those ones that you need to make a pre-cruise reservation for. It ranges from $38 to $42 per person, depending on if you book lunch or dinner. I will tell you, this books up months in advance. So the second you book your cruise, head over to the fun shops at Carnival's website and see if you can book this spot. Lunch tends to fill up quicker than dinner. Why does it book up so fast? Well, it's pretty simple. They only seat 16 people per seating. So at lunch, they'll do like a 1 p.m. seating and then like a 1:45 seating and so on and so forth. And then same thing at dinner. It's like every hour or something. And they only have 2 teppanyaki tables with 8 seats each. So it's a very coveted reservation. Second off, it's a really fun reservation. This was so much fun, I can't tell you. First off, it's dinner and a show. Second off, the amount of food you get here is probably the most amount of food that you're gonna find at any of the restaurants on board the cruise ship. So much so that we ended up with leftovers. But what do you do with leftovers on a cruise ship? You really have to eat them pretty quickly because while you do have that mini fridge in your room, you don't have a way to reheat the food. So just plan on maybe skipping that afternoon cheeseburger at Guy's Burgers if you have a reservation of Bonsai Teppenyaki later that day, because you are absolutely going to get filled up here. When you look at that menu on their website, it's a little misleading because it kind of indicates that you choose an appetizer. You don't. You get every single appetizer on the menu. They just keep bringing them to you. And then you get to choose an entree, and then you automatically get all the desserts as well. I'm telling you, this was so much food, guys. And it's really fun, especially if your party is taking up at least the majority of that table. We were a party of 2 when we went, and depending on the moods and the attitudes of the other people at your table, this can be a really fun experience or kind of a meh experience. So if you have a party of 6 to 8 people and you're gonna take up the majority, if not the entire table, you're gonna have a good time because you guys all know each other and you can interact. It also makes a difference on who your chef is. If you get a really fun chef, the show's gonna be a lot more fun. If you get a chef that's just kind of going through the motions, not gonna be that great of a time. We fortunately had a wonderful chef. He was highly entertaining, he kept us laughing, and honestly, we weren't feeling too well when we were here because we made a dumb mistake earlier in the trip of trying a milkshake, and as you know, we're lactose intolerant. We tried taking a lactate pill and that just didn't cut it. So we had upset tummies, but we still ate absolutely all the food that they laid out for us with the exception of the little bit of leftovers. They also have a couple of specialty cocktails that you can only get here. It's a super fun experience. Definitely plan on having a good time and spending an hour to an hour and a half if you're gonna check out Bonsai Teppenyaki. Of all the pre-purchase the more expensive upcharge restaurants, I think this one's worth it, honestly. At $42 for dinner, it's a good time, it's good food, you'll have a nice night. All right, up next, we're gonna look at the Carnival Deli. This is a complimentary venue usually located inside the Lido Buffet. They're open for lunch and dinner, and that's a weird way to say it. They're open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. This is a fleet-wide thing. So if you're looking for that late night sandwich post dinner, you can also grab that as well. This is absolutely free. They have 14 things on the menu, and this happens to be one of those spots where we have another video for you to check out because we tried everything on the Carnival Deli menu. That's right, Alyssa and I sat down and ate every single item off their menu, and we give you our honest, in-depth review. So if you're wondering what to try when you go to the Carnival Deli, you're gonna wanna check out that other video next. I will say Carnival Deli is one of my favorite complimentary spots simply because it's nice to get kind of a fresher item. You're not eating all that heavier buffet food. You can just go get a sandwich. It used to be that every single sandwich was fresh made right there in front of you, and kind of in a post-COVID world, some of the hot sandwiches are kind of pre-made and then they just warm them up. You know, honestly, the meatball is one of my favorites, but that is one of the examples of it's kind of a pre-made sandwich and they just heat it up. When I see pre-made, I don't mean they made them a week ago. They make them, a bunch of them overnight and in the morning, and then, you know, throughout the day. So you're obviously going to get a fresher one if you go at 11 a.m. But I got to tell you, hitting up the Carnival Deli at, like, you know, 10:30 at night for that before bed sandwich is one of my favorite ways to spend an evening on board a Carnival cruise ship. What's your favorite thing on the deli menu? Is it a cold sandwich or a hot sandwich, or that very nasty veggie burger? If you want to know more about that one, make sure you check out that other video after this one, because we did not care for that veggie burger at all. Alright guys, we're going to head to a special spot next. The first half of it we're going to talk about is complimentary, and that's the Captain's Pasta Bar located inside Cucina del Capitano. Now, Cucina del Capitano on sea days has a complimentary pasta bar that you can go to, which is what you're looking at now. At nighttime, it's a upcharge fine dining, specialty dining restaurant. During the day, let's talk about the pasta bar. You go in, you sit down, they give you a slip of paper, you mark off what you want on it. You basically build and create your own pasta dish. Honestly, I think the variety of what they're offering you is actually pretty substantial for a complimentary pasta station. They also have Caesar salad and some desserts to choose from, and obviously you can get bread as well. It's a very casual experience during the day. You're gonna get those plastic cups from Lido to have your beverages served in. There's no fancy glassware. You'll find people dressed a lot more casually when you're in there, and you're gonna find a lot of families with young kids. So just keep that in mind. This is not gonna be your fine dining experience, but you are gonna get a pretty tasty bowl of pasta. And you can order pretty much as you want. I will tell you, sometimes there's a pretty long line to get in here during lunch. I recommend going right when it opens and then just waiting in that line for a bit. It does move fairly quickly at the beginning of the day. If you decide to go at night, which we also did, to the official Cucina del Capitano, you'll want to book that ahead of time. As soon as you book your cruise, hit those fun shops, shore excursions area on the Carnival website, and you'll be able to find restaurants, specialty dining, that you can book. This one's $24 per person. It's worth every penny. I think this is the best value on the ship as far as specialty dining goes. Why? Because you're gonna get really full, and it's gonna be delicious food, and $24 is not that bad for what you're getting. I had a side of pasta with my pasta. Now, while you only get to order one entree, you can pretty much order as many apps and as many sides as you want. Your waitress or waiter is going to be super cool about that kind of thing, as long as you're polite about it and you ask, right? While you do pre-book this, make sure afterwards you sign and make sure you give those servers a tip. Guys, I can't recommend this highly enough. Absolutely, even if you're going to do the free lunch pasta bar thing, you should still make this one of your evenings. Skip the main dining room, check out Cucina del Capitano. It's a lovely date night out. They have some nice wines. They'll recommend pairings for you. I absolutely loved our evening here, and I left so full. In fact, I was so full I couldn't even finish my dessert. And it was pretty tasty dessert too. Highly recommended. Cucina del Capitano. This one is not fleet-wide. You're not going to find this on every ship. If you're fortunate enough to have it on your ship, I know it's on quite a few of the West Coast ships as well. Hit it up. Absolutely hit it up. Did you know that you can go on a Carnival's website and filter by ship what restaurants your specific ship has? So if you're wondering if this one's on yours, hit up carnival.com and put in your ship. So let's say you're on the Carnival Radiance, right? So you put in the Carnival Radiance, and then that will take you to the Radiance's page. Scroll down, say view all dining, and it will sort out only dining options available on board the Radiance. Before we move on, I do want to apologize today. I am still feeling a bit under the weather. I'm getting over something, so if I sound real nasally in this video, that's the reason. All right, we're gonna move on to another free spot, not on every ship. If you are fortunate enough to have this, it's called Fresh Creations. It's located on the Serenity deck. That means two things. One, it's only open on sea days, and two, it's only available to those guests 21 and over. It's just a salad bar, but they make your salad for you, and there's like 100 different toppings that you can choose from, and they give you this really cool bowl, and they fill it up with all the toppings you asked for. Put the dressing on. You can eat it up on deck without a bunch of kids running around. So if a little quieter of a cruise experience is for you, but you still enjoy the Carnival fun ship type thing, this is a cool spot to grab a bite to eat on a sea day. All right, moving on to a less healthy option, Guy's Burger Joint. Another complimentary thing. This is fleet-wide. They're open lunch to early dinner. Why do I say that? We don't typically eat dinner at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., but they are open only until 6 p.m. So noon to 6 p.m., you can get your burger at sea. This is one of those dining venues that we've tried everything on the menu, so you'll check out that video after this one. Guy's Burgers. Guys, it's the best burger at sea, and honestly, sometimes it's the best burger I've had. Guys can be a little hit and miss though. Sometimes you're gonna get kind of an overcooked patty or a kind of a stale bun. The fries have been sitting out a while. But when Guy's is at its best, it's at its absolute best. I love Guy's Burgers. And they have this really cool toppings bar too. Don't feel like you need to order one of the 5 on the menu. Order that plain Jane and then head over to the toppings bar and make it your absolute own. You can also ask the people making the burgers to mix it up a little bit. Hey, can I have the chili Maximus, but can I also get it with this onion ring from this other one? You can ask them to do stuff, they'll do it for you. Absolutely complimentary, guys. This place is pretty crowded on embarkation day, just know that. All right, we're gonna move on to another one of those weird locations. It's complimentary for lunch, but it's an upcharge at dinner. It's Guy's Pig Anchor BBQ. Again, this one's not on every ship. If you are fortunate enough to have the full Guy's Pig Anchor BBQ for dinner, you should eat there once. They have an amazing bar. If all you have is the Guy's Pig Anchor BBQ buffet, which is open on sea days and embarkation day, it's complimentary. The food's delicious. It's all you can eat barbecue. I've only gone once where it wasn't the best barbecue, but every other time I'm floored by the quality of this food. Barbecue at sea. What more could you ask for? Super good food. So this video particularly is from the Carnival Panorama. So they have both. They have the Guy's Pig Anchor Smokehouse, which is the indoor upcharge restaurant, and then the outdoor Guy's Pig Anchor BBQ, which is a buffet. Interestingly, they both pretty much serve similar to identical food. But I would recommend grabbing it complimentary at the buffet during the day if you want to avoid the upcharge. We'll talk about the Smokehouse, Brew House in the next section. But grab this big plate. If you do have the full-size restaurant as well, you can take your food from the outdoor barbecue into that restaurant, because the restaurant's not serving their food during the day. They're not serving the upcharge menu, right? So you can head in there, grab a drink at the Cool Bar. It's one of our favorite bars on board a Carnival cruise ship. It's Guy's Pig Anchor Bar. They have a full-size brewery if you happen to have the Brew House Smokehouse on your ship as well. and you can get brewery tours, which we will have a video coming out next week, which will talk about the brewery tour and the different beers that they offer on Carnival ships. Back to the food here though, it's absolutely delicious. Go for the mac and cheese, go for every kind of meat. They'll pile up your plate for you with everything you want. Go back for seconds, go back for thirds. This is my place to go on embarkation day because most people don't realize it's there, so it's not quite as crowded right when you get on. If you wait an hour and a half or 2 hours, people will, oh, there's a barbecue joint, and then they head there and it gets a little more crowded. But if you get there right when you get on the ship, you'll have the place virtually to yourself. The upcharge location is called Xiis Pig Anchor Smokehouse / Brew House. Products range between $3 and $18 a pop. Desserts $3, appetizers are $4 each. You get a full platter of food for $18. It's good food, it really is. The barbecue platter is pretty much the same food though that you got complimentary during the day, with a few exceptions. I highly recommend, if you're leaning towards maybe some late night snacks to soak up some of that booze, head here and grab the trash can nachos. They are phenomenal and they're only $4. The sweet potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, are also absolutely delicious, and I will never say no to a bowl of mac and cheese. So for $12 right there, you split it with another person. You're gonna have a full hearty quote unquote meal, and you know what? It soaks up booze pretty well, because what doesn't go great with beer if it's not barbecue, right? FYI, it also goes good with whiskey. Anyway, Xiis Pig Anchor Smokehouse / Brew House also is a live music venue. So if that's your thing, you're gonna have an absolute blast here, because they have live musicians every single night. They also have a bunch of TV screens, so you can watch the game if you're into that as well. The highlight here though at Xiis Pig Anchor Smokehouse / Brew House is always the bar. They tend to have some of the better bar staff for the fleet hang out at this bar. It's a toss up for us between Xiis Pig Anchor and the Alchemy Bar. You know we love our Alchemy Bar, but if your ship has Xiis Pig Anchor, that's where you're gonna find us, bellied up to a bar stool enjoying a fine whiskey-based cocktail. Alright guys, on to another one of those weird locations. It's Xiis Asian Kitchen, complimentary at lunch on sea days, but an upcharge for dinner. Let's first talk about lunch. This, on the panorama at least, it's literally located right next to the pasta bar, so it's the same hallway, the same line. The line tends to get pretty long, and you just gotta figure out, ask people, what line are you in? Are you in line for Xiis, or are you in line for the pasta bar? And then make sure you get in the right line. This is complimentary. Think of it as a walk style restaurant. You can add what you choose to the bowl via another paper menu and a pencil. They do have a couple of cocktails that are special only here, that you can only get here. You know what? It's good. I prefer the pasta bar personally at lunch if we're talking about the complimentary options, but this is a great way to break up some of that buffet food. Now, if you don't have a Xiis Asian Kitchen on your ship, you probably have a Mongolian wok station at the buffet every day. It's gonna be the same style food. It's just this is made fresher and to order instead of buffet style. It's really good noodle dishes, guys. You really can't go wrong. I mean, it's hard for me to cook these at home and make them taste as good, but they've mastered this, and it's free, so you can't really complain. There's beautiful views out the windows, so days at sea and days at sea only on this one, you get free good noodle dishes. Now, at night, much like the Cucina del Capitano, it's $24 per person. You book it in advance on Carnival's website. And I'll tell you, we did this before we did the teppanyaki and before we did the pasta, the Cucina del Capitano. And we're like, wow, this is really amazing and great value. And then we went to the pasta bar or the Cucina del Capitano, and it was more food and a better experience for the same price. And then we did teppanyaki, which does cost more, but it was even more food and a better experience. So if you're only gonna do one, this one's perfectly fine. If you're gonna do them all, this one's perfectly fine. It's not a bad place to eat. It's just, if you go do Cucina del Capitano or teppanyaki first, and then you do this, you might find yourself a little more disappointed in the servings and the food quality as well. Service here, however, was absolutely amazing. We had a blast dining out here. And you know what? The food's really good. I was a little concerned because when we went to order our dessert, she goes, oh, that's kind of our least popular one, but it's the only one we could have because it was dairy free. And so she really lowered our expectations. And you know what? That one right there on screen right now, one of the best desserts I've ever had. It was absolutely delicious. I don't even remember what it was. Something with tapioca. But we had some rice, some egg rolls, a beef dish, and a shrimp dish. This place as well, you're gonna order one main, but you can get as many appetizers and sides as you want. They're not gonna stop you. Just know it is still quite a bit of food, so don't let your eyes be bigger than your stomach. We don't want to waste too much food. Absolutely love Xiis. It is a darker environment at night because the windows are all closed up, or it's nighttime and it's just dark outside. So if you're looking for that kind of romantic looking quiet place, this is absolutely amazing. That being said, because it is so dark, if you have some eyesight issues, or you're just not a fan of dining in the dark, this might not be the spot for you. But I do enjoy the experience of going to Xiis. The food was tasty enough. It kept my belly full and my smile on my face. I would recommend it. I think it's worth the $24. When you put it next to the pasta, the Cucina del Capitano, that's also $24 though. If you can only do one of those two, I'm gonna steer you over to Cucina del Capitano. But if you don't like Italian food and you prefer Asian food, then obviously go to Xiis instead. That being said, do both, guys. Do both. Especially if you're on a longer cruise. You might get bored of that main dining room, which we're going to talk about later on in the video. You want to break it up a little. Book Xiis. It's a pretty good place. Now, I know with Cucina and Xiis, I said that you had to book it in advance. Technically, you don't. Technically, you could show up day of, go earlier in the day and be like, hey, do you have any openings tonight? But you're going to be subject to being seated whenever they have an opening. So all the people that pre-booked are going to take priority. Just keep that in mind. I always like to book my stuff in advance so that I can plan out my trip, especially when we're filming for you guys, because it helps us decide where we need to be and what we need to put in the vlog. If you're a go with the flow kind of person, don't book it ahead of time. It's still $24. It might be 10% more if you wait and book it on the ship. But if that's not a big deal to you, then it's not a big deal to me. All right, guys, we are about to move on to probably one of the two biggest complimentary dining options. It's the Lido Marketplace Buffet. This place is open for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for late night snacks, and a portion of it is 24 hours a day, which I will get to at the end of this segment. So, breakfast is kind of broken up into three different things. There's continental breakfast, which is early, and that's going to be some meats and cheeses, bagels, pastries, and fruit. Basic continental stuff. We like to go here for continental breakfast right after we work out in the morning. If we're doing a workout on the cruise ship, we like grabbing a continental breakfast, taking it back to our room, and then we'll join the rest of our party after we've showered and stuff for a regular breakfast. Lido Marketplace Buffet also has regular breakfast. This is going to be your standard breakfast buffet food. It's going to have, scrambled eggs, an omelet station, some kind of a potato dish. I personally enjoy the little hash brown cakes that they have over the roasted potato dish that they do. Some kind of breakfast meat, ham, bacon, sausage, maybe some eggs Benedict. There'll always be cereal there. Standard breakfast buffet stuff. It's hit and miss, honestly. I would hit up the omelet station instead of eating the gross scrambled eggs. The meat's usually pretty good. The potatoes are usually pretty good. Just not my cup of tea for those cardboard scrambled eggs. And then they also have what they call a late risers buffet, which is going to shrink down the breakfast stuff to usually one buffet station. It's usually the same food, but occasionally they will either add or take something away. Just keep that in mind. And they call it late risers. I think it starts at 8:30 a.m. So to them, that's late rising. Not so much for me. Well, no, that would be very late rising, I guess. We're up at 5:30 every day. Anyway, breakfast food, personally, if it was me for breakfast, outside of grabbing that continental breakfast after your workout, I would wait a little later in the day until I think it's 7 a.m. or 7:30 in the morning. It might be 8 a.m. when Blue Iguana Cantina opens for breakfast, because that's arguably better breakfast food than you're going to find on the Lido buffet for breakfast. Now, Lido buffet is also open for lunch, and you'll find that menu is going to switch every day of the cruise. While they will have a couple of staple items and the salad bar always, they're going to do a different themed day every day for lunch. And again, this is going to be where you're going to find that Mongolian wok station. If you don't have a specialty Asian dining place on your ship, they'll usually have a Chinese food line somewhere at the buffet for lunch. Lunch foods, it's a mediocre lunch buffet. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, you're better off either going to the complimentary pasta bar if it's a C day, or the complimentary Xiis on a C day, or complimentary Guys Pig Anchor on a C day. If it's not a C day, you're better off going to Blue Iguana for a burrito, or Guys for a burger, than dining at lunch in the buffet. It's my personal opinion, and I'm not a huge fan of people that are constantly bashing buffets on cruise line. I know what I'm getting into when I go to a buffet on a cruise line or a buffet on land. It's buffet food. It's mass produced. It's not going to be as high quality as if you have something that's made to order. I'm not saying the food's bad. It's just meh buffet food. There's nothing to write home about. That being said, every now and then I'll get this shining example of culinary excellence, and I'll go back for seconds. Lido Buffet can be very, very crowded on Embarkation Day, which is why earlier I recommended that you hit up that Guys Pig Anchor Buffet if your ship has it. If not, Lido Buffet is a great place to eat. They're open for dinner, and that will usually mirror whatever the menu at the main dining room is. At least most of it. Like, if you have 7 or 8 entree options in the main dining room, this is going to have probably 5 or 6 of them, plus some other stuff. Honestly, it's the same food. It's just, again, not cooked to order. So it tastes slightly better in the main dining room. But if it's like elegant night and you don't feel like dressing up and going to the main dining room, you just want something quick, or you're tired from your day at port and you just want to grab the plate of food, eat it, and go, hit up the buffet. It's perfectly fine food. We don't typically eat a lot of dinners in the buffet because I enjoy that main dining room experience. And for elegant night, we always like dressing up. All right, let's talk about late night buffet, or late night snacks, as it were. This is one section of the buffet where they put out a bunch of booze soaking up kind of food you ate when you were a teenager and your parents left you home for the weekend and you gave you $100 to go to the grocery store. It's mediocre hot dogs, frozen pizzas, frozen chicken nuggets. I mean, it's all the kind of stuff that you can pop in a microwave real quick. I'm not saying they actually use frozen product and microwave it. I'm just saying this is what it evokes for me. And then 24 hours a day, there's always beverages available. All right, let's talk main dining room. Your ship's either going to have one main dining room with 2 floors, or 2 main dining rooms, or a combination of those 2 items. Usually one of the main dining rooms or a floor in one of the main dining rooms is for that timed dining. So if you got early dining or late dining, and the other floor or the second dining room is going to be for the anytime diners, right? So that's where you can go anytime the dining room's open and get seated. Usually one of those also will have the breakfast, the brunch, the lunch, that kind of stuff. Tea time, which we're going to get to in just a second. But regardless, make sure you know which dining room you're supposed to go to for each meal. The Hub app will always tell you. That Hub app is like the most important thing you can possibly download before getting on the ship, and use it regularly because it has all the information you need. All right, so let's talk main dining room. They are complimentary. This is including your cruise fare for everything. They're open for breakfast on port days, and it's a pretty decent breakfast. I actually really enjoy the breakfast in the main dining room. They have a port day express breakfast. They get you in and out of there fed and full in 20 minutes. It's absolutely great. They're also open for brunch on sea days and occasionally lunch on sea days. I say occasionally, I've got the asterisks on the screen for you because it is only open for lunch on longer cruises. That's, I believe their cutoff is 9 days or longer. They will open brunch one sea day, lunch one sea day, brunch one sea day, lunch one sea day. If you're on a shorter than that cruise, it's always going to be brunch on sea days. And you know what? Their brunch is good. The food is tasty. I've got some chicken and waffles there for you. It's good food. The service almost always sucks at brunch time, and I cannot figure out why. It's like they just don't staff for it. Same thing with breakfast. Sometimes the breakfast service is absolutely horrendous. And honestly, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't understand why they can be so efficient at dinner time, but in the early part of the day, it's like they're understaffed both in the kitchen and the wait staff, and they don't really know how to handle the kind of crowds that they're getting for those early day meals. That being said, brunch food is absolutely phenomenal. I love going to brunch in the main dining room, and I try to make an effort to do it every single sea day, regardless of how much food I'm eating that day, because it is that good. They also used to only have during brunch, but now also have during breakfast. You can get fresh pressed juices. Now, these are an upcharge. They're $5 per juice. and they're not included in your Xiis package. This is like one of the very few drinks on the whole ship that is not included in Bubbles or Xiis packages. You do have to pay the $5 for it. Plus, I think if you're in port, when you get it, a little bit of tax, and then also obviously tip your servers. We love the fresh pressed juices though, and they are actually fresh pressed. They have a menu of about 6 that they do. They have the ingredients to do 6 different juices. I'm sure you can mix and match a little bit if you wanted like a little bit of ginger in one of the drinks that doesn't typically have it, because they do have that ginger on board. They're really great though. It's a great way to just kind of help me feel like I'm cleansing my body after a day of heavy drinking or a night of heavy drinking and eating that greasy buffet food. The main dining room, you will also find at least once on your cruise on a sea day, there will be a tea time. It usually runs from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. It is absolutely complimentary. It's little finger sandwiches and desserts, and then a nice hot mug of tea. We love tea time. I personally enjoy drinking tea. I drink hot tea every single day of my life. This is just a great little experience. It's a way to feel fancy when you're dressed in flip-flops and a t-shirt on board a cruise ship. It can get pretty crowded, I'm going to tell you that right now. And honestly, our most recent experience wasn't great. I felt like they kind of walked around and served every table but ours until we finally flagged them down and they would come to our table. Most of the time, I usually don't have an issue with tea time. This is almost always going to be on the second floor of the dining room that has 2 floors, and it is always in the very aft of that dining room. They will take up the back corner of whatever dining room it's in. All right, let's talk about dinner. This is where it's at, guys. The main dining room dinner is probably going to be where you eat the core of your meals because A, they're complimentary, B, it's pretty good food. I do want to talk for a minute because they did recently revamp the dining room. They've brought on Emeril Lagasse, and he kind of designed a new menu. They did keep some of the old favorites. You're still getting your shrimp cocktails. You're still getting that Szechuan shrimp dish. Obviously, on your elegant night on 6-day and longer cruises, you're going to get that lobster tail. But they've got some really good new things on the menu, and I would highly recommend that you try something new. Now, remember, recently the Carnival changed their policy. It used to be you could order as much food as you want, and it was absolutely free. They say it's combat waste. Other people say it's so that they can make a buck or two. It might be some combination of both. Frankly, I don't care. What they've done is you can still get as many apps as you want. You still get as many desserts as you want. For entrees, they cap you at 2 entrees. If you want a third one, it's $5. If you want a fourth one, it's another $5. If you want a fifth and a sixth one, it's another $5. Big freaking whoop-de-doo. Okay, there are people out there getting so fussy about this. You know what? It's their business. They can run it how they want. You can choose not to eat there. Personally, I've never been able to eat all the appetizers I order and more than 2 entrees anyway. Hey, bonus tip. On lobster night, you can still get 2 entrees. You can get 2 lobster tails. I had them put them on the same plate because I was like, don't waste the vegetables. I don't want 2 plates worth of broccoli. Just bring me the 2 lobster tails on 1 plate with the accoutrements from 1 plate. I'm a big fan of the main dining room. Yes, I've had a couple of nights on a couple of cruises where the service has been kind of bad or the food's been mediocre. But for the most part, the main dining room's awesome, guys. Where are you going to find a meal this quality with this level of service and this much food for free anywhere else? If you know, tell me in the comments below, because I like eating and I like free food. But main dining room, I definitely go hit it up. Hit the main dining room up all day long. I love the main dining room. All right, guys, time to talk about another complimentary option. This is Pizzeria del Capitano. On your ship, it may also be called Pizza Pirate. Now, pizza used to be 24 hours a day. It was like the one thing on the ship you could get 24 hours a day. During COVID, then post-COVID, they kind of shrank those hours down a little bit. Again, you're going to find the arguments for it's so they could save money. I don't really think it's saving them a whole lot of fortune not have these 6 people that would get pizza between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m. to not get pizza. But it's neither here nor there. Point is, you can still get complimentary pizza from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., guys. And you know what? It's some of the best pizza I've ever eaten in my entire life. Yes, I've had a bad slice here and there, but for the most part, and we have eaten a lot of pizza, it's the best pizza I've ever had in my entire life. It's pizza at sea. You cannot go wrong with that. It's complimentary, it's delicious, and yes, this is one of those times we tried everything on the menu, so we do have a bonus video for you to check out when you're done watching this one, and we'll let you know what we think about every single slice. All right, let's talk about room service. This used to also be free in 24 hours. It is still 24 hours, but it is no longer always free. You can get continental breakfast stuff early in the morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That is absolutely free. Beyond that, there's some breakfast items and some daytime items and some overnight items. They're gonna range between a couple bucks and $8 each. I still don't think that's bad. I've paid for room service on land before, and those bills can be atrocious. So don't complain about the room service. Let's talk about the food. If we want to complain about something, let's complain about food. Oftentimes, by the time it gets to me, I find that it's a little colder than I want it to be. That's just the nature of room service, though. If I went to the buffet and got my own food, by the time I walked it all the way back to my room, it's gonna have cooled off a little. Same thing applies to room service. Now, you can get the Pizza del Capitano / Pizza Pirate pizzas delivered for only $5 to your room. So that's one of the items you're seeing on your screen. And then we tried a couple of other items. You know what? If you don't want to leave your room or you're looking for a snack past when other restaurants are open, like that 2 a.m., well, no, pizza's still available. If you're looking for a 4:30 a.m. snack, room service is where it's at. It's not that bad. Don't forget to tip your server. It's pretty decent. All right, moving on to another upcharge location. This is Seafood Shack. It might be called Seafood Corner on your ship. Prices range from $5 to whatever market price is for the fresher seafoods. They're typically open for dinner every night and lunch on sea days. This is probably my least favorite of the upcharge locations that you're going to find on your ship. And I'm going to tell you why. First off, let me preface this by saying seafood's my absolute favorite food on the planet Earth. I will eat crab legs and lobster all day long if you give it to me and it's free. That being said, Seafood Shack has a consistency problem from ship to ship. There is no like rule about how they make stuff, and that's a problem. And you're gonna see a couple of different lobster sandwiches here, lobster rolls, and you're gonna see how different the lobster looks, and they're just two ships different. So if you're gonna go here, grab some of the fresh seafood because you can't mess up crab legs. Those are delicious. And honestly, the market pricing isn't that bad compared to land. It's actually a little bit cheaper in my opinion. And what's better than eating fresh seafood while at sea? All right, so this is one of the lobster rolls here from our most recent cruise. This is on board the Panorama. Now you do get a lot for what you're paying. You get 2 full-size lobster rolls, and the side of fries comes with it. And you know what? I'm gonna give Seafood Shack their due. The fries are usually pretty good. I'm sure they're just frozen crinkle cut fries. I'm not insinuating that they use frozen crinkle cut fries, but I'm pretty sure they use frozen crinkle cut fries. They're pretty good. But the lobster roll, I'm not saying this was a bad lobster roll. This was just a super mayonnaise-y lobster roll. You can see the amount of mayonnaise in that right there. And then real quick before we move on, I want to show you one from a previous cruise. I don't have any video of it, but I do have a photograph for you here. Look at how less mayonnaise-y that lobster roll looks. And on that ship, I only got 1 lobster roll for the price. So things change. All right, let's talk about Shack's Big Chicken. This is complimentary. Again, not on every single ship. They're open for breakfast, lunch, and allegedly early dinner, but I usually see them closed by about 3 in the afternoon. Their menu does change from breakfast to lunch, although the breakfast is available at lunchtime. This place is good, guys. I highly recommend it dry. Occasionally, I've gotten like a dry biscuit, but if you put a little of the honey or one of their amazing sauces on it, it's fantastic. And they've got this cool toppings and sides bar that's complimentary as well. Shack's Big Chicken is where it's at. They should put this on every ship. I personally think while it's a different style of food, it rivals Guy's Burgers in being one of my favorite complimentary locations on board Carnival Cruise ships. I like Shack's Big Chicken. Have you been there? Is it on your ship? If you've been there, what's your favorite breakfast sandwich? I'm curious. I know we all love our lunch chicken sandwiches. We can talk about that another day. But today I want to know in the comments below, what was your favorite thing you had for breakfast on at Shack's Big Chicken? Also, I'm curious, did you hold your hands up to the mold of his hands to see how freaking giant Shack's hands are compared to yours? Do you know what I'm talking about? If you don't, you have to check that out next time you're on a ship with Shack's Big Chicken, because there's like this mold of his hands. It's like a plaque in the wall right next to it, and when you put your hands up to it, it's absolutely insane. He could probably palm my whole body, like just like fold me in half and carry me around like a bowling ball or something. My hands look like a small, like, raccoon's hands next to his. Anyway, Shaq's Big Chicken, complimentary, absolutely delicious, highly recommended for both breakfast and lunch. While we don't have a bonus video for this one, I have tried everything on the menu, but part of it was before we started vlogging years ago. Everything's good. I couldn't find something bad in there. Like I said, the only once in a while I'll get a dry biscuit, but if you add the honey or one of their sauces to it, that fixes the dryness right up. Alright guys, we're about to move to the last place we're going to talk about in this video. Can you guess what it is? Pause right now. Alright, are you back? Did you guess? Let's find out if you're right. We're going to move on to the Carnival Steakhouse. Depending what ship you're on, sometimes they have different names. Fahrenheit 555, Nick and Nora's, the Steakhouse. This is one of those pre-cruise reservations required places. It's $49 a person. Sometimes they'll have reservations day of, but I highly recommend booking in advance. Now, let's talk about the Steakhouse. Is it worth $49 a person? Because it wasn't that long ago that it was only $25 a person. And then it went up to $35 a person. Now it's $49 a person, guys. No. Honestly, in my humble opinion, it's not worth $49 a person more than once. The Steakhouse is absolutely something you should do one time. The food is some of the best food you're going to find on board a Carnival cruise ship. It's delicious. Why isn't it worth $49 a person to me? Well, because there are so many other options available to you at a lower price point that this just seems like excess for the sake of excess. I also don't like the fact that they have raised these prices so much in just the last few years. It's increase after increase after increase. My other big problem with the Steakhouse is it takes far too long. It's part of the experience. I get they're doing it on purpose. They bring you your course, they let you eat it, they clear your stuff. Then they let you talk for a minute and let you sip on your wine. And then they bring you your next course and the whole process starts over again. You can end up spending almost 3 hours inside the Steakhouse for a meal that honestly shouldn't take more than an hour to 90 minutes. I just think it takes far too long to dine in the Steakhouse. And if you're on a shorter cruise where your time is limited and you want to see all the shows that you can see, the Steakhouse probably isn't for you. If you're on a longer cruise and you've got a spare evening, absolutely go dine here at least once. And do it the first night or the second night of the cruise because you get free wine if you're booked on that early part. Book it in advance. Book it for your first night. Book it for embarkation night. You're not going to miss anything in the main dining room. Grab the Steakhouse on that night. It's good food, guys. I'm just saying, I think they've kind of priced themselves out of the market. All right, y'all, that is our comprehensive look at Carnival dining. We pretty much covered most of the restaurants that are available, and the restaurants we did cover are available mostly fleet-wide. Have you been to all these restaurants? Do you like Carnival food, or are you one of the people that doesn't like it? Did I change your mind if you're one of the people that doesn't like it? I personally love Carnival food. I love all the dining options. I love being fat and gluttonous on a cruise ship. And then you know, coming home and trying to lose that weight again. Anyway, we really enjoy Carnival food. I hope you're one of the people that enjoys it. I think they do a pretty good job. Who are we kidding? We know Carnival Cruise Line is one of the less expensive cruise lines. They're the family cruise line. You should know what you're getting into when you get on one of these ships. You're going to get a lot of kids where you're not going to necessarily get that on a princess cruise or a celebrity cruise. You're going to get a kind of a party crowd for the most case. A little different depending on where you're selling. If you go to Alaska, you're not going to have a party cruise. But if you're selling out of Long Beach to Ensenada, that's a party cruise. Expect loud environments. You're not getting gourmet food. You only paid a couple bucks a person. This isn't a $10,000 cruise. You know what I mean? Like, you obviously get what you pay for wherever you go. I personally think there is a lot of value in what Carnival has to offer when it comes to food. Yes, I've had a couple of bad experiences. Yes, I've had a couple of bad meals, but I can say that about literally any restaurant I've ever gone to. Life doesn't change just because it's a cruise ship. don't take to heart when people tell you that carnival food sucks, because I really do think that they're just being a little bitter because they're letting one bad experience or two bad experiences dictate their thought process around that. Every chef can have a bad day, every waitstaff person can have a bad day, every customer can have a bad day. Listen, you're eating food at sea. That's like the best kind of day that there could be. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.